We are back in Kona. It's 2023. This whole year's been shit, pretty much. Not since Kona. So yeah, this time last year, I was super excited for the race, feeling really fit, had really high expectations. I'd obviously had a good St. George, and I came to Kona 2022 thinking I'm going to be top 5. Like, I felt really fit, training had gone really well. Yeah, I just thought I've got it in me to get another top 5. Didn't happen. They started badly with me getting dropped at the turnaround buoy on the swim and losing about 3 minutes just on the way back to that main group that I was with. And I then just had nothing on the bike. Like, my average power was 190 watts, which is like about what I was doing as an age grouper. So yeah, not a great bike ride. I still started the run with kind of a bit of positivity, thinking if I had a good run, I could probably just about run myself back into the top 10, but basically came off a leaky drive and just really struggled. Like, I think it was a combination of mentally not being able to push. Physically, there was clearly something going on because my heart rate was quite high for like tiny watts. So yeah, so I've kind of chalked that up to just not being my day. That's why I then went and did Israel, and Israel was actually, yeah, like a really good race, like just decent race overall. It's my first sub-3 marathon. Probably wasn't quite as fast as I would have liked to have been, but I won. It felt like a positive end to the year. Yeah, probably the second best race. And like it felt like quite a consistent Ironman of like, I felt quite good the whole way through. So that was quite good. I reckon St. George was the best overall race I've had. I'd say like overall, I finished 2022 thinking I've had some good results. I was like in the top 20 of the PTO rankings, and I was like, feel pretty good. I was like, 2023 is going to be a good year. It started really well, like January, February, had like 2 really good months of training. We had February in Spain. I was feeling really good on the bike. Running was going really well. I was back on the track. I was doing some run sessions with Lucy Byram, and just, yeah, like, was feeling really good in February. March is where it all started to go wrong. So that's where I did my long tempo run, was a little bit tight, did a track session, felt something in my right calf. But again, just tightness, and it didn't feel that bad. And I probably had another, like the next month and a bit was all me sitting with physio quite a lot, them thinking it was mainly in my head and not like a muscle issue. So still doing like bits of running. I'd do like maybe a week of like resting it, then it would feel a bit better, then it would tighten up a little bit more. So yeah, like obviously in hindsight I look back and I'm like, I'm an idiot, I should have just got it scanned straight away, but hindsight is a wonderful thing. I didn't. So I was kind of pushing through, and I was like, I think I can try and race. So I did Gran Canaria. Not my best race, like it was all right, like the swim was average, the bike was okay. the run I had to walk a few bits because I could feel my calf a little bit, but I actually came out of Gran Canaria because like the next day the calf actually felt fine, so I was like, oh, maybe actually it's good. I had 2 weeks then until Ibiza, long distance champs. And again, like I generally felt quite good. Like I was biking really well at that point, so I was like, at least I can like bike well and then be conservative on the run. But I then, the week before Ibiza, tried to do a bit of a run session, and like the whole calf kind of went into like cramp, and I was like, oh, that's not good. So Ibiza, I started the run and stopped it within 5 minutes because I was like, I can feel the calf and I don't want to mess up my whole season. Again, kind of in hindsight, part of me is like, maybe I should have just really pushed through and tried to have finished and get one result, but hey ho. At that point I was like, I've got Challenge Roth, and Challenge Roth was still like a good 2.5 months away, so it seemed doable that I could, whatever was going on with the calf, probably like rehab it, get back and go and have quite a good Roth. So I got back, got it scanned, and it was quite a bad calf tear with tendon involvement. And at this point I then found a new physio because I just felt like I needed someone else to kind of deal with it and help me through it. So that was then, we treated it quite conservatively. I think given the issues I'd had and given that I have historic calf issues, we thought it was best, and because it was tendon, I think like tendon there can be some extra complications, so treated it really conservatively, which then basically meant I wasn't going to be able to do Roth. So I knew quite early that I wasn't going to be able to do Roth, which was good because it meant I could kind of get my head around it. Obviously really disappointing. One of the reasons I went and got my qualification early for Kona was basically so I could go and do Roth, because I had such a great time there in 2019, but that's all right. I kind of like got my head around that. Was doing all the rehab, like, you know, doing some aqua jogging, going to the gym 3 times a week, being really, really sensible, doing a really conservative return to run. Probably 10 weeks into that, a week before the US Open, which I'd managed to get a wild card for, which it would have been a bit of a risk going there, but I was like, I just want to do some racing. Anyway, a week before that, I was just doing a run and I felt my left calf tighten, and I was just like, oh, here we are again. So got that scanned immediately. I was like, I've at least learned from that mistake. It was just a small tear, thankfully, and I just kind of lost it a bit mentally with that. It felt like up to that point, I'd spent like a whole year not really being a triathlete. Like, I hadn't really done any racing, I'd barely done any running. I was struggling to find the motivation to be like, why am I going to train? And also at that point, I'd also had a couple of weeks of like, the biking wasn't going very well. Mentally I was like, I need a break. Thankfully that coincided with Al having his ankle operation, so in some ways perfect timing. So we just went, we had a week away, completely non-triathlon related. We just had nice food, we drank, we relaxed, and I got back from that and I was like, right, I'm ready. But at that point, when would that have been? That was like July, or it would have been like beginning of August, I think. So I was like, I've got enough time now to rehab this calf. Like, we knew because the tear wasn't that bad that the rehab wouldn't be, like, I could do a relatively quick return to run. And I had the discussion with Will that we were going to have to just be quite aggressive with the return to run, and if that meant that something else happened and then Kona was off the cards, like, for me that was a risk I was willing to take. So I was like, unless I can get a decent like 6-week run block in, there's no point coming to Kona anyway, because like with the quality of the field, especially this year, I was like, I need to do some running. So so very much the first few weeks was, again, like back in the gym quite a lot. So I was doing pretty much 3 times a week in the gym, quite a lot of calf specific stuff, but also like general ankle strengthening, mobility, quite a lot of hip stuff as well. And I was then doing some aqua jogging to supplement that. We've got a pretty good setup in Leeds where there's like basically an injured running club, so you always have company, which actually makes it quite enjoyable, so that's quite good. And then as I was starting to get back into running, I was then also able to use the lever, so that was really helpful because it meant I could like add a bit of volume in whilst taking a little bit of load off, but still getting some load through the legs. So yeah, probably had like 3 weeks of kind of, like sort of building back to normal-ish running before then flying out to America. And by that point, I was like, you know what, I was starting to feel quite good again. Like the biking was coming back and I was putting in a bit more work on the bike whilst I was bringing the running sort of back up to normal volume. So yeah, I was like, you know what, I think I can, if I go out and I have a good block in Kona, then I could be in quite good shape. Got out to Kona, spent the first 2 weeks basically waking up every morning feeling like, is my calf tight? Is that something? Like really doubting my body. Like every day I was like, I don't know if that's just DOMS from running, like because I was then obviously adding a bit more running in and doing some sessions which I hadn't done, or whether it was like proper tightness. And yeah, so I spent like the first couple of weeks, there was still definitely some days where I was like really unsure as to how the calf was going to be and semi-expecting that I would go on a run and it would suddenly just tighten again. And then after about 2 weeks, I got through a day and I was like, I've gone through a whole day without thinking about my calf. And I feel like that's when you know that you're like pretty much there, of like you don't think about it, it's not always on your mind. So that was in a good place to be, and it's then meant that this month block I've actually had like I'd say like a normal kind of Kona block. Like I've done pretty similar run volume to what I was doing before St. George, like only for a month rather than like 3 months, but you know, that's a month will do. And yeah, I've had some really good sessions, and I guess I'm now at the point where we're like a couple of days before the race. So it now feels like race week. I think up to this point it's very much felt like sort of training camp, partly because it's been like a really nice relaxed atmosphere, which has been brilliant, and having like Indy and Jack and Sam around, and then obviously Kat and Mark came out later. But I think, you know, having that kind of group that keeps you grounded and relaxed and keeps it fun. Like, I think obviously it's our job and you have to take it a little bit seriously often. I think for me, the fact that it still feels fun and we can have a laugh, and it, you know, I think it helps you appreciate how lucky we are that this is kind of our job. Of, you know, you get to come out to these beautiful places, you get to be in the sunshine, outside, doing what you love every day. So. We're now, as I said, 2 days before the race, 3 days before the race. I've been to register, so it now feels quite real that I'm racing. I feel like as soon as you get the little wristband. And I think I've gone through like every kind of thought in my head of like, what do I actually want from Saturday? Because I feel like when I first came out to Hawaii, I was very much like, I literally just want to finish the race, I want to do a race. I still feel that in terms of like actually just to finish a race would like, and finish one properly would be really nice, because I've not done that this year. Like ZLMC kind of counts, but I sort of knew I wasn't so much racing as using it as a test of the calf. So yes, I think to actually just be able to race will be pretty cool. But then I think now that the last couple of weeks I've actually started feeling quite good, I guess I've like maybe allowed myself to like hope and dream a little bit that I might have one of those magic days. Yeah, I think like, again, the couple of swims that I've done with people where I've been like, actually the swim does seem to be in quite a good place, which like I also thought last year, and then it wasn't good in the race. But like, I genuinely feel like all the work I put into my swim this year is starting to pay off. And if I can come up with that main group, I'm just in like so much of a better position in terms of having some company. You know, if I come out with people like Laura and Anne and Maya, people like that, then it's like you've actually then got a really good motivated bike group to work with. So fingers crossed. Everyone's here for once, which is, I think, the first time in ages that actually like all of the top contenders are here. So yeah, kind of like looking forward to going and testing myself against everyone. Just hoping that I can have a good day. And yeah, hoping to then kind of sort of put 2023 behind me a little bit and look forward to next year.